Predator is a 2018 American film written and directed by Shane Black with Fred Dekker co-writing. It stars Boyd Holbrook, Trevante, Rhodes, Jacob Tremblay, Keegan-Michael Key, Olivia Munn, and Thomas Jane. Welcome to my long overdue review of The Predator. I've been meaning to watch this one so I could finally get it out of the way and I could do my Predator ranking video. Also, wearing a new shirt my son got me not too long ago. Thought I'd show you. It's pretty cool. I'm not bragging or anything, bro, but you know. Alright, back to the movie. The plot follows a team of misfit soldiers teaming up to fight back against a group of predators, returning to Earth with a different plan this time. So yeah, I think you've already just kind of figured it out, but I basically avoided this movie for 7 years. I remember being pretty excited for this when it was announced, back then, being a big Shane Black fan. I figured that he had to be the guy. He had to be the guy to get the franchise, back on track, being such an iconic writer, and hell, he was even in the original 1987 Predator film. He starred in it. But as soon as The Predator was released, the bad reviews just started to come out, and I just chose to check out and, save myself some frustration. And I pretty much assumed that I would never watch it, but I want to, like I said, I want to do that Predator ranking video, and hey, I did survive the AVP films after all. I'm still kicking. So I guess the question is The Predator as bad as they say? Let's check it out. The beginning of the film actually kind of gave me OG Predator vibes. You see Quinn, our main character, played by Boyd Holbrook, and he's leading a team of U.S. Ranger snipers on a hostage retrieval mission in Mexico when a Predator ship just kind of crash lands out of nowhere, where very few survive. Quinn barely escapes alive, and he takes with him some of the Predator tech that he found left behind, not trusting the military, with evidence of alien life. I didn't think, right here, at this point, I didn't think this was the worst story setup. Where it goes next, though, is debatable. So Quinn is interrogated by government agents who believe that he's hiding something, because he is. While he's on a transport bus, he meets a group of soldiers, all with PTSD and different mental afflictions, I guess you could say. Essentially, I like to call them a group of misfit soldiers. I think that's the best explanation you can give them. And while I've seen nothing but complaining about them over these last 7 years or whatever, and thinking they would really annoy me too, I kind of liked them. It was some of their dialogue that I didn't like, so I think that's probably where most of the criticism has came with these guys. I appreciated the approach, though. Shane Black was trying to recreate the team from the original film in which he was a part of, but without directly imitating it. That's what I think. And in a franchise where, so much has been just really, really derivative, I appreciated him trying to avoid, a lot of those tropes. But overall, Black's writing here in most other areas just ranges from bad to this just doesn't work. He just tries to add too many funny, quirky touches, that don't work and aren't really that funny. The original Predator film made it work by using, humor sparingly and mostly in the first act. So Quinn's autistic son Rory ends up with the Predator tech that Quinn had saved, which leads, them right to him, of course, which is where things get wild and not in the right ways. This leads to things like predator dogs that we had never seen before, which could have worked had they not looked so stupid. And it leads to an 11-foot giant predator, which I didn't like at all. But it also leads to the most controversial part about the entire story, which is Rory's autism, basically being the catalyst. So he's got a photographic memory, so he was able to lead the government agency to where the predators were. But the controversial part is where the predators want him for research. That maybe his brain might show, some advancement in human evolution. I think that this offended people, and maybe, not so much the way that it was, more so the way that it was handled, I think. On paper, I actually kind of like it, but it's Shane Black, and he just doesn't pull it off. He doesn't have, I don't think, the nuance to pull off this kind of thing. So overall, yeah, Shane Black was not the right guy here. I think he's a bit out of touch. I hate to say it, these days. And I will say that there was one thing about this film that I did enjoy, which was the action. Completely over the top, violent, gory, and that was at least, if that was at least 90% of the film, I think this would have actually been a blast, a turn your brain off blast. I liked the erratic, sudden deaths of many of the main characters. Just like the original film wasn't afraid to kill off, characters. And again, there were some really interesting ideas here that could have been really fucking cool. Again, I liked the misfit soldiers, and the bond that they had over their military service. And the fact that they were abandoned and unwanted, made them, becoming the heroes was actually kind of awesome to me. I just could go without, things like Tourette's and PTSD, being used for punchlines. So the dialogue sucks. The main character didn't really do anything for me. The main villain, not the Predator, but the government guy didn't really do a whole lot for me. And also there were just too many ideas for one film. In a way, it's very Marvel, and not in a good way, of course. The end does set up a sequel that never happened, but I can, confidently say that I think it would have been even worse than this was. They were, able to make back, double the budget, so I would say this was a success. I would think, although it did make, less than the previous film. So I guess in that matter, it wasn't. So I guess between that and the overwhelmingly negative reviews, Shane Black did not return to the franchise. So I'm giving The Predator a 5.5 out of 10. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex. Subscribe right now, please.